Hi everybody, my name is Ginell Cooper and we are here today to do something super fun. We are going to complete a trilogy actually. I was asked by my Facebook group to do a video on how to do boot toppers, and there are so many to choose from, just gazillions of them. But we did happen to find, we came across the pattern for a particular boot topper, which happens to match some other videos we've done. So we thought we might do that. So this is the first one I did in Celtic weave, which was the head wrap. Then we leveled up and we did fingerless gloves in the Celtic weave stitch. Pretty cool, right? So now we're gonna do the boot toppers to match. And these are actually really easy. If you have done this, then you can do this. If you've done this and this, then this is a piece of cake. It really is. All we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a basic rib stitch on the bottom and then turn it and then do our Celtic weave in the round across the top, which will be, they go so fast. I think this took me maybe an hour, and that's, I mean, maybe an hour and a half because I was getting interrupted with stuff. But so here's the plan. It's very simple, and you can actually use this plan to do any boot topper. So it doesn't have to be Celtic weave. You can actually do just a rib on the bottom and any stitch you want on top. So you don't have to stick with the Celtic weave look if you don't want to. But basically, these are the different sizes. I pulled these sizes off the internet, and the one I did was this size right here. So basically, you just start off with a rib stitch and you go up 3 inches. And then you do, the top portion is 3.5 inches. So you do the rib stitch first, then you connect them, do a seam in the back, and then you do the top part in the round. Really, really easy. You can do it with any stitch you want. They're super fun. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Okay guys, so today we are going to complete the trilogy of our Celtic weave items. And we started off with this Celtic weave head wrap back at the beginning, and then my friend Margaret talked me into doing these Celtic weave fingerless gloves, which have been super popular. And now we're gonna do these Celtic weave boot toppers. And there's lots of different ways, different sizes you can do this in. So I'm gonna show you a little visual. This one actually turned out kind of big. I took these sizes off of a different, someone else had created these sizes of kind of what they wanted them to be. And after doing this first one, I'm realizing that all boots are not created equal. So you may want to do the extra small if you're doing them for the little short booties. These are for taller boots, and honestly, this probably could have been a little bit skinnier. So definitely you want to measure around your own leg where your boot hits and go by that. But that's one of the great things about doing it this way, is that you don't have to do exactly the stitch count and the things that I do. You literally just go off of your own measurements. So I would definitely grab a piece of paper and measure out where you want them to fall. Like if you are doing them for ankle boots, or if you're way up high on your calf like mine is, you might want to measure up around that area and decide how long you want to make it, and then give it some space for stretch. So like if your calves are, 13, 14 inches, you probably only want to do like maybe 11 or 12, because you want to let it stretch a little bit on there. So I did these ones, and I think I only went to 12 inches on there. So we're going to kind of follow this template on what works best for us. Pick whichever one works best for you and then kind of adjust it accordingly, I would say. We're going to start with a rib stitch. So we're just going to go back and forth this way, and then we're going to turn it, or we're going to attach it, and then we're going to turn it and go in the round in the Celtic weave. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So this is the yarn that I've been using the whole way through. It's kind of funny because I started off with like one skein of yarn that I found in my closet, and I made this with it. And then when it came to making these, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to find the same yarn, and I did. And now I'm like, I'm hoping that this will be enough, but I bought 2 more skeins just in case, 3 more skeins, because I have a feeling that you guys are gonna want more Celtic weave stuff. So just in case, I got more. So we're gonna go ahead and start this with a foundation single crochet. If you are not a fan of foundation rows, or you don't know how to do foundation rows, I invite you to check out my Tuesday Techniques video where I taught how to do them. It's now available in right-handed and left-handed, so you can do both. But I highly recommend them. In this particular instance, it's not that necessary. Like, the reason you would want to use a foundation row is because it makes it stretchier than a chain. But you're going this way. So it's not as necessary to use it this way, but now I've found that I just love them so much because you're basically doing 2 rows at once, and it just makes them easier to manipulate. And like, if you do too many, then you can always go back and that sort of thing. So, so I just do them all the time now. So, but if you are 100% against doing it, you can just start off with a chain and just do the height that you want to do. So what I decided was 3 inches was about where I wanted to make this, and then 3.5 for that. So you can just do your chain, do it short of 3 inches, because once you actually start crocheting into the chain, it'll stretch it out, which is another reason why I prefer the foundation row, because it's a little bit more true to what it's going to be. So we're going to start off with that. And you can watch me do it here, but if you need more guidance, check out that other video, because it's a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to go ahead and start with chain 1. You're only supposed to do chain 1 on foundation single crochet, which is what we're going to do, but I always chain 2 because for some reason it keeps this from being so sloppy. So I don't know why that is, but that is the case. So I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to yarn over once, pull through that loop, that's the chain right there, and then yarn over and go through those 2 for the single crochet. That basically is what a foundation row is. You're doing the chain and the whatever stitch you choose to do on top at the same time. So this is, we're going to go back into, see that little horseshoe right there? That's the chain. We're going to go back into that, and then you should have two pieces of yarn on this side, and then the 3rd piece is on the other side. So then you just yarn over, pull through a loop, and then you're going to yarn over, go through 1 for the chain, yarn over, and go through the last 2 for the single crochet. And we're going to do that until we're at about 3 inches. I would say maybe 2.5, because it'll stretch a little once we start crocheting in the chain. Luckily, I've already done this, so I can actually, to make sure that this one is the same exact as my first one, I can just count the stitches that I did. But that number of stitches is not really necessary for you, but that's what I do to make sure that both of them match. Okay, so I'm just going to continue doing this. Should only take a second. Okay, so I'm at about 3 inches there, and I double checked it against this. It's about right. And also I counted how many stitches were in my original one, just to make sure that they match. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chain up 1 now that I've gotten to the end of this. And we're going to turn it. This is the way it actually goes. When you're doing the original foundation row, it kind of goes like you're going this way, but this is the row side to side. So we chain up 1, and we're going to single crochet in every stitch, but we're going to do just the back loop. So this is the full loop right here, front and back. We're just going to do just the back. And that's what's going to create that rib. Putting rib bases on things has gotten to be, I mean, it's so easy and fun that it just goes really fast for me. It's like the beginning for all hats and everything. Okay, so got to the end. If you want to stitch mark, like, this is such a short piece that you could just, it's very easy to just count your stitches on this. Mine are 10. But if you want to feel a little bit more comfortable about making sure that it's nice and straight, I would stitch mark the ends with some pins or something, and then go from there. But I'm going to go ahead and chain up 1, turn it, and we're going to just do the same thing, single crochet in the back row all the way across. And we're going to continue to do that until it's as long as you want it to be. For me, that is about 12.5 inches. But I actually went through and counted the rows on my first one just to make sure, and it's 48 rows. So the other important thing to keep in mind too is that to do the Celtic weave that we're going to do on top, you need to have stitches in multiples of 4. So if your rib stitches don't work out to be multiples of 4, we can always fix that when we go through and do the half double crochets in here, or the double crochets. But it's actually, if you can manage to make it happen in the rib stitching, then that kind of makes it easier for you when you go and do your base right in here. So I'm going to go for 48 rows. And the way you can count your rows on these is basically each one of these bumps is 2 rows. So I just started at the seam and counted my way around. So this is the seam right here. And then I just did, this is 2 rows. So 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way around like that. And then it came out to be 48, which is multiples of 4. So that works for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue this until this matches that. 12 and a half, there we go. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to combine them together. And this, the way that I am gonna do this, there's multiple different ways you can do this. None of them are wrong. I mean, there's lots of different choices here, but what I have chosen to do was, because these are ridged together right there, I'm gonna ridge them. See how when they go down, they're gonna ridge on this side, so the inside. So I'm gonna put the join on the inside of, there we go, together. And then I'm gonna flip it out so that it's the other way. And the only reason I'm doing it that way is because that's how I did it on this one. I just want them to match. If I'm gonna do one that way, both of them should match, right? So you're basically taking, actually I wasn't even on the right one. Take this one right there. See how it's got 2 loops? You wanna take the inside loop and the inside loop on this one. So technically it's the back loop of that one and the front loop of that one. And the reason I'm doing that is just so the ridge isn't like super thick. You could go through the whole thing if you wanted to. It just makes for a thicker ridge. I have been struggling today. The first one is always a little bit awkward, and then after that, it should be pretty easy. So back loop, and then front loop, wrap it, pull through, and then just slip stitch all the way down. So there is the seam on the inside, and now we're gonna flip it, and you wanna flip it so that your yarn is on the outside, so that you're not having to like do your yarn through a hole there. So there is the seam. It matches the seam on this one. That's really all I cared about. There's probably a cleaner way to do that. I've done them more cleanly in the past, but since I want them to match, I'll just keep doing it that way. So now this is sort of how you begin almost every boot cuff. So you can actually, at this point, we're just going to do basically the foundation for whatever stitch you choose to do up here. We are doing the Celtic weave stitch, but really you could do any stitch up here. So, you know, if you want to do a bunch of alpine stitches or something else that's fancy up there, you definitely could. You could make it not fancy at all and just do like double crochets all the way around, and then like with maybe a little picot edge on top. I mean, there's lots of different choices, but for today we're going to do the Celtic weave. I have one in my mind that I want to do that's actually a twisted, like a cable that goes this way around it, and maybe that'll be one of our future videos, but we'll see. So I actually saw somebody had one that were knitted and they were super cute, and I was like, oh, I think I can make those. You guys probably do that too, right? You just look at stuff and go, I think I could make that. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're just going to chain up 1. Usually for a double crochet, you would chain up 2. Actually, we could chain up 2. Let's chain up 2. We're gonna count that as the last stitch on this side. So every one of these ridges has 2 stitches. So and that's how you're gonna get your 48, or for me it's 48, but whatever your multiple of 4 is. And then we're going to go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and start here with double crochets, and we're just going to go all the way around, 2 stitches per ridge. I like to dig down and grab like at least 2 pieces of yarn on there, so you don't have just 1 piece of yarn. I mean, you've probably seen me do that in lots of other ones in the past, but it just makes for a more sturdy looking piece than having 1 little piece of yarn yanked up there. For some reason, this hook is not working for me today. You can tell this hook is much loved because it's kind of bent. But the reason why, this is my H hook, I use it all the time, but the reason why is it has a nice deep hook there where my other H hook, it doesn't. And so I'm constantly getting the yarn isn't coming through correctly and stuff. So, and I don't even have fancy hooks. These are, I know so many people have like ergonomic, cool hooks. Not me. I just have plain old metal hooks. Nothing special. So just evenly space out your, if you ended up not having multiples of 4 on this part, it's really easy to fix that. All you have to do is just like add a stitch here or there, just kind of space them out to make it a multiple of 4. I will meet you at the end of this. Hey, here comes the fun part. So I've done my 48 stitches around. So I'm at my multiples of 4. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the top of that chain 2, which I counted as a stitch just because of the way it laid out. And you can choose not to if you want to. If you wanted to put another stitch right there, just skip over the top of that and go ahead and join into the actual stitch. But so that gives me 48 stitches around. So I'm going to go ahead and chain up 1. Now in the past, what I've done is I have chained up 2. You can do that if you want to. I just noticed that on the inside, when you look at the inside of a Celtic weave, this is what the seam looks like in the back. And that's your chain 2 right there. On this one, I did chain 1, and the seam is just not as prominent. It's still there, but it's not like as big. So that's the only difference that it makes, and you can choose to do whatever you want, but I chained 1 on that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a triple crochet, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna skip over these first 2 right here, and we're gonna go into these 2. And this is how a Celtic works. It's a triple crochet into the front post of the double crochet. So you're gonna wrap it twice for a triple crochet. Instead of going into the stitch, you're gonna go into this post right here. So you're just gonna go under it and back up, wrap and pull up, wrap and go through 2, 2, and 2. So you left 2 posts right there. We're going to come back and get them in a second. So we're going to do that again over here. So wrap and go underneath that post, pull up a yarn, and then wrap and go through 2, 2, 2. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crisscross back, and we're going to grab these 2 that we skipped, starting with this one on the farthest right side. So you're going to do that. Actually, I'm actually going to try and do this video for right and left-handed, so it might be the farthest left side depending on which one you're looking at. But so go back over here and grab that one that the first one you skipped. Do the same thing. 2, 2, and 2, and then you're going to wrap again, and you're going to get that second one that you skipped. So you're going to go back, grab that, and do your triple crochet. Okay, next, what we're gonna do is, once again, we're gonna skip 2, and we're gonna go to these 2 over here, and we're gonna do the same exact thing all the way around. So wrap, skip those 2, you already did those 2, right? Skip those 2, then do this one. Do the second one over. Okay, so now we're going to go back and grab those. So wrap twice, grab the one that the first one you skipped, go through that post like you're going under a log, and then do the next one that you skipped. Okay, so what you end up with so far are these 2 little crisscrosses. So you have these 2 little arms. I'm going to call them arms, which is what I've done in the last 2 videos too, because they look like little arms that are reaching for you, right? So these 2 little arms are going back this way, and these ones are going over the top. So you have these little crisscrosses of 4 stitches. Keep doing that all the way around. So you're going to skip these 2, do these 2, and then go back and do those 2, make your little crisscrosses. I will meet you at the end of this row when we join right there. Okay, so we are down to the last group of 4 stitches right there. So including this double crochet that we used to start that row with over there. So we're gonna go ahead and do these last 4, and then we're gonna join it together. So then you will have the perfect number of little crisscrosses. So I have 12 sets of 4 stitch, 12 crisscrosses, which are made up of 4 stitches. So wrap it twice, skip the first 2, this one and this one, and go to this one right here. Like that, and then we're going to go back and grab these 2. It's so interesting how a stitch can take you back in time to a memory. Like the first time I ever learned the stitch, I was sitting at Costco tires, waiting for my daughter's tires to be fixed, and it was like a 2-hour wait that day for some reason. So I literally just sat there and crocheted an entire head wrap while I was waiting. And I mean, that was when I was first learning. So that actually, I'm actually a lot faster at it now than I was back then. So I'm sitting here and I'm back at, Costco's tire area. Anyway, so we're gonna, these are the 4 right here. You just wanna grab the first one. So you kind of have to like see where they are. They're back here. Find the top of the first one, and that's the one that you're gonna join into, just like that. And then your little crisscrosses go all the way around. So next row, chain up 1, you can chain up 2 if you desire. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to skip this whole first grouping, and we're gonna go all the way over to this. So from now on, when you are doing these, the easiest way to figure out what you're doing is to grab the arms that are reaching towards you. So wherever you're sitting. So when you're done with these 2 arms, you're actually going to go back and grab these ones that will be reaching for you at that point. So don't worry about these guys. We will get them in the end when we come around. So we're going to go ahead and wrap twice, take the top of these arms right here, and then just go ahead and continue that triple crochet up. Same next one. It's totally okay to move these stitches aside if you want to see those better. Okay, so now here's the tricky part. So the way these work, they need to look like they're woven, right? So if we go over, we want to reach back and grab these arms that are now reaching toward us this way, because you're kind of in this middle row now. So instead of, if we reach over and grab them on top like we did before, it's basically just going to make a stripe, which would also be kind of cool looking, but it's not a Celtic weave. So what we want to do is we want to actually go behind these. And it's a little tricky for some people to see that, but basically instead of going over the top and grabbing these 2, you're just going behind and grabbing those and pulling them up. So let's make sure I wrapped right. So we're going to wrap twice, go behind these 2, go down and pick up that first one, pull it up, wrap, go through, wrap and pull through 1, and then go through 2, 2, and 2. Okay, so that's that one. So it went underneath this one, right? The next time it'll go over the top. So it's just going to be under, over the whole time. So this one is wrap 2 and go do the same thing. Go underneath these 2 stitches and grab these, that post right there, and pull it up. Wrap and go through it, and then go through 2, 2, and 2, just like that. So now you have these crisscrosses down here, but they continue up and do these ones up on the second level. So we're going to do it again so you can see it again. So see, this is like the last half of this crisscross. We're going to come back and grab those later. First thing we're going to do is grab the arms that are reaching for us. See how these ones are kind of, you're sitting here, they're reaching away from you. These ones are going towards you. They're just hidden because they're underneath. So we're going to go ahead and wrap twice, find that little arm, grab his arm there, and then pull it. And do your triple crochet. Do the second one over. Okay, So now now that we're here, the arms that are reaching for us are these ones, right? They're reaching towards us. These guys are reaching away. So go back and grab the ones that are reaching toward you. And you go underneath this time. See that post right there? Put your needle under the post, or your hook under the post. Pull it up so you can kind of get to it easier. Wrap and go through that. And then wrap, go through 2, go through 2, go through 2. One more time. Underneath these, pull that up, go through 2, 2, and 2. Okay, that is what you're going to do all the way around until you reach this side. And on this side, we're going to finish on those ones that are reaching that way that we skipped over, that last one. So, you ready? Did I tell you right? Yes, I think that's what's right. Okay. Okay, so we're going to continue on. I will meet you at the end of this row. So just keep in mind that every row is going to be the opposite. So you started off and you reached in front. So you did your first 2 stitches and then you reached in front and grabbed the ones you skipped. On the next row, you reach behind and grab the ones you skipped. And on the next row, we'll reach in front. So it just goes back and forth, just like a basket weaving. I will see you at the end of this row. Okay guys, we've come all the way around, and so we are on the last 4. So really what it is it's the last 2, it's 2 different sections combined together basically. So we're gonna reach, because this is the seam right here, right? So we're actually gonna reach over the seam and grab these arms right here. So there's 2 arms. Grab the first one. And there's the second one. And now we're going to reach back and grab those ones, which were the last, I believe, the last 2 from the before. So we're going to go back here. Last one. Okay, so you got 2 rows done. What you want to do is you want to find the beginning of the first arm that was over here, or the next arm, and you just want to slip stitch into that to combine them together. And then we will continue on with the next row. Do you think this is going to last me? I think I'm going to have to switch. Going part way up. Okay, so I'm going to chain up 1, and then I'm going to reach for, we're going to skip this section altogether because those arms are kind of reaching away, and and those arms are reaching this way. We're going to go to these ones that are coming towards us. You kind of, at this point, you're always going to skip the first 4 and grab these ones, I think. I'm pretty sure. So just keep an eye out for that. So go ahead and grab this one right here. There are so many noises going on outside my house right now, and hopefully you can't hear them all. Plus my son, oh, that's the other thing I want to caution you again. So I end up, when I'm reaching for stuff, I always end up making this loop really big. You want to kind of keep that tight so that you don't have like a big loop there. My son is doing his classes online right now, and those are particularly loud today. And then there's all this beeping and stuff going on outside. But I'm determined to do this video anyway. Okay, so now last time we went behind, right, to grab. This time we're gonna go over the top. And the arms that we're trying to get are these 2 right here that are hidden underneath this. So this crisscross goes over the top of them, but they're reaching for us. They're right there. So wrap twice, grab the first arm, and then wrap twice and grab that second arm right there. Okay, So that's your first crisscross. You want to continue that as you're going across. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to grab these ones, and then we're going to grab these ones right here, right? So first these, then go back and grab those two that you skipped, and continue doing that all the way around, and I will meet you on the end. Actually, at this point, we probably don't need to meet again until we get to the top. So just keep doing that as you're going around until you get to as tall as you want it to be. For me, I chose to do, I believe it was 3.5 inches. I might have brought it down a little bit. My original drawing was 3.5 inches, but it was starting to look a little tall. No, I did 3.5 inches. So I'm consistent, at least, right? So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this one match this one. And then, we're gonna do that top part right there. That is just a regular half double crochet across the top for a nice little border. So you only wanna go up until you're like, you know, for me anyway, I'm gonna go up until 3 inches, and then the other ½ inch is gonna be that little border right there. So I'll count the number of rows that I did and complete the same exact number of rows, and then I'll know that I'm done. So I'll meet you at the top of this, and then we'll do this last row together. Okay guys, so here we are. I just connected it to the end there, and now we're just gonna do the last row. So what I did on this one, it's so funny because I couldn't remember what I did on this one, if it was a single crochet or half double crochet. So I actually had to do a single crochet and then like compare them. This is a half double crochet. So I can always tell a double, but for some reason, sometimes half doubles are harder to see. So I actually did run out of yarn, so I had to start a new one. So I'll weave those in when I'm all done here. But we'll go ahead and just chain up one, and then you're just gonna do a half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And so now obviously there's no crisscrossing or anything. There's 4 stitches for each one of these little sections of X's. So there should be 4 half double, whoops. When I talk and do at the same time, doesn't always work out. So there should be 4 half double crochets for each little section of crisscrosses. And basically what we're going to do is it's going to kind of tighten this up, because like sometimes, whoops, see like right here, that's like loose. It's kind of loose because that's where I changed yarn. So I just kind of pulled that together right there. But so it's just basically going to make a nice even row on top to kind of just give it a finish, right? Leave it to me to run out of yarn right before the last row. They call that playing chicken when you're trying to get to the end of a project without having to change your yarn. And I don't think I've ever won that game. Okay, there we go, all the way around. And then you just come up to the top of that double crochet or that single crochet right there, and then go ahead and slip stitch that together, and then tie it off. Go ahead and weave in your ends. Sorry, I'm trying to find my scissor. Weave in your ends, and then I think what we should do is we should try them on and see how they look. So check it out at the end of the video. I will try these on. Maybe I'll try on the whole ensemble now that we have the whole thing completed. Ta-da! I'm not sure if you can see all of me in this shot, but I wanted you to be able to see the boot toppers, which is the most important thing. And there's actually a couple different ways you can wear these. You can wear them so they go straight up and they just come up to like here. I like to wear them so that when you put them on, they're inside out, and then you fold them over the top of your boots. So that's what I've done with these. Don't they look snuggly? They're not as warm this way. If you want them to be warm on your legs, you want them to go straight up like that. So put them on the other way. So I wanted you to be able to see this. This is the straight up version. So not folded over, just straight up the top like that, which is also super cute. And it's actually better at keeping your knees warm. The other one's not really about warmth, it's more about style. Ta-da! It's a lot of pieces to fit into one frame. So we have our boot toppers, our gloves, our head wrap. What else? That's a lot of Celtic weave to have on one person. What else should we do? Do you think there are more that we can do with this? I love the stitch. Maybe we could do a scarf or a cowl, a blanket. We could try doing it in like, I think the Celtic weave is super pretty when it's flat. I'm not sure how to do it. So if you guys have ideas for that, make sure you put it in the comments. Ta-da! We'll see if we have more Celtic weave. Could just be a trilogy. Maybe there'll be more videos. We'll find out, right? I know, what about a Celtic weave beanie? That would be cool, right? It's basically the same thing as this. It's just that you continue all the way up and then you close it at the top. I think we could do it. Let me know if that's something you want to try. See you next time.